Socrates once explained to Plato's brother, "We all resemble captives who are chained deep within a cavern, who do not yet realize that there is more to reality than the shadows they see against the wall." Human beings think the prison is outside, the matrix, others, wherein the human prison is within the mind. You are the prison. Wherever you walk, wherever you go, however you resist or non-resist, you're still within the prison. However, the prison is but an illusion, and you can set yourself free by becoming more self-aware and engaging in what is called self-inquiry, where you can dismantle the mental constructs that keep you imprisoned. This process involves questioning your beliefs, your thoughts, the patterns and challenges you have in life, and the stories you tell yourself. Once this is done, you become no body, no identity. Who are we? Who am I? This question has intrigued philosophers, seekers, and thinkers throughout history. We are not separate from the universe, rather, we are an integral part of it. Just as a flower is a flowering of the field, we are peopling of the entire cosmos. Our existence is like an aperture through which the universe becomes aware of itself. The illusion of the self. Our normal sense of self is a temporary role we play, like a hoax. It is akin to being like hypnotized, where we though willingly participate in the illusion, the play. In recognizing this, we can explore deeper truths about our existence. However, this is beyond words and concepts. We cannot find the answer to who am I through words and concepts alone. These are mere pointers, not reality itself. Instead, I invite you to look beyond the mental constructs and experience of the world without labels and without definition. Alan Watts, an absolutely inspiring philosopher and teacher of self-inquiry, wrote something called The Dream of Life. If you awaken from this illusion and you understand that black implies white, self implies other, life implies death, or shall I say death implies life, you can feel yourself not as a stranger in the world, not as something here on probation, not as something that has arrived here by fluke, but you can begin to feel your own existence as absolutely fundamental. So then let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream that you wanted to dream, and that you could, for example, have the power within one night to dream 75 years of time, or any length of time you wanted to have. And you would naturally, as you begin on this adventure of dreams, you would fulfill all your wishes. You would have every kind of pleasure you could conceive. And after several nights of 75 years of total pleasure, you would say, well, that was pretty great, and now let's have a surprise. Finally, you would dream the dream you are dreaming now. You would dream the dream of living the life that you are actually living today. That would be within the infinite multiplicity of the choices you would have of playing that you weren't God. The whole nature of the Godhead, according to this idea, is to play that is not. In this idea, then, everybody is fundamentally the ultimate reality, not God in a politically kingly sense, but God in the sense of being the self, the deep down, basic whatever there is. And you're all that, only you're pretending you're not. The Divine Comedy, Part 2, The Theatre of Play. Once becoming self-aware, you realize the role you're playing and that you're not your role. This allows you to connect with other beings who are playing their role. However, they are aware they're not their role, just like you. These beings you call ET or aliens, just labels. They do not mind. I call them multidimensional beings. They are us and we are them, and we're in a dualistic game. As Shakespeare said, the world is but a stage, men and women are mere players. After the process of self-inquiry, your frequency changes. Frequency inside an ego identity is very dense and very low. It has fears, it has belief systems, it has judgment. It has an idea about itself that is not true. Once you are released from this system, the multidimensional beings, you match their frequency. So, as you call it contact, I call it communication. This new communication, or contact as you may call it, will bring into this reality a new earth. From this new earth, where, as Alan Watts states, we have insanely dysfunctional manifestations, both individual and collective. Once self-inquiry has progressed enough, or at least subsided, humans will no longer create unnecessary suffering for themselves or each other. Within this new earth, this new context, this new way of being, self-aware, we will then have a new civilization joining us within the Divine Comedy. You will have one foot in one reality and one foot in another. You are all named as the characters, the cast in the Divine Comedy. The Divine Comedy is going to have a new chapter. A new script will be written, and you, the self, will be writing it. However, this time, without the idea you had about yourself, without the identity of the ego, without the judging, without the fear. You will, within this script, connect with all connectedness of the universe as one. So let the play begin. To understand who am I, first you have to know who you're not. You're not your thoughts and ideas you have about yourself, and you're not your beliefs. Thoughts about yourself are how others have defined you. Then from this definition, you have an idea who you think you are. The path to self and freedom does not lie in an attempt to eliminate the ego, the idea you have about yourself. It is in recognizing its illusionary nature. As there is no self to realize, as you are the self. Paradoxal? Yes, we continue. The ego, the idea you have about yourself, is an abstraction of the mind, an idea the mind has about itself. In ego consciousness, the idea the mind has about itself, through the definitions of others, society, culture, and beliefs, it identifies itself to be mind and body, and prioritizes its experiences in life to seek happiness externally, through the sense organs and through others. In soul consciousness, the self, we are aware of our identity as ego, mind, body, and that of its illusion. It's a role we play. Firstly, though, to become one, the self, we have to become aware of the illusionary ego. To become aware, the first thing I would like you to do is just stop. Stop and realize the peace in this place. No thoughts, no actions, no doings, no ideas you have about yourself. Just stop. Be you, the self. It is so simple. So just stop and be still. Be you, the self. The one that you have been searching for is the one that is doing the search. I am the unseen unknown. I am touching the face of God through the illusion. I appear naked, bare and anew, each time dissolving within the illusion I created, touching the face of God once more. I search for myself to know myself within the illusion of separation, touching the face of God. Only I experience the search, the fire that burns within. Only I experience the illusion of life, sorrow, pain, love, and the illusion of death within each experience. Thoughts, feelings, emotions appear within me. Like waves upon the ocean, they rise and fall away. I am ever present to witness my creation. Have I not told thee thou art God's? For I am touching the face of God each time I dissolve into the illusion, bare and anew. The Divine Comedy, The Shift. It's time now to write a new storyboard. Ask these questions. What is the foundation of my existence? What is its primary use? How can I realize the self? Because if the foundation of you is not based on knowing the self and based on the idea the mind has about itself, your experience will travel into darker directions of suffering. These thoughts and feelings will exasperate the intensity into a destructive direction. The foundation, the frequency of the self, is the same in both of the dualistic roles you play. The ego, the idea the mind has about itself, and the self, awareness, who you truly are. However, the values are different, so choose the self. The shift. It's my perspective. A time of a new era, a new earth will come. And this, the shift, will not take long. In fact, for some, it has already happened, where a natural separation will take place within the Divine Comedy. The ones who are aware, able, willing to sense the signs and accept and adapt to the changes, they will experience a new era, a new earth, right here. Those that are addicted to or unwilling to will stay within the old earth, which is at a critical point. An old era is about to dissolve, and a new one is about to begin. Another way to look at this, we are basically having a dream, but we are not aware we are dreaming. It's like we, the self, has created a dream simulation for ourselves in order to have the experience of forgetting who we are so that we can discover who we are from a new point of view or a new perspective. This is how creation, consciousness, awareness expands the structure of existence. The structure of existence, reality, never changes. However, our relationship, our experience, and our perspective of it constantly changes. This is how creation has always expanded. Humanity has been going through a process, a way of experiencing reality. The shift brings us to a single dimensional point here, a single timeless moment now equals here and now. In the self, there is no more experience of time as you know it, or space as you know it. The instant you think of being someone else, you're there. The instant you think of any kind of idea, you know it. There is no time lag. That's what physical reality is for, is to experience the process of discovering, which takes you to the experience of newness. As within the self, the one, everything is now. We get to see things from a different perspective as we shift into the alternative reality. Underpinning our very existence is the observer effect and quantum entanglement. This is where inception begins. Envision a world where your consciousness is not just a passive observer, but an active shaper of reality, in which every thought and intention holds the power to alter the course of existence. A world where our most innermost thoughts have the potential to manifest changes. As we are now enveloped in the shift, these effects transform into the catalysts for what you could call a quantum leap. In the collective consciousness, basically all that the players are doing is taking on a new role, this time playing the self. How we interact and perceive with the world around us will now change. This journey of discovery, of awakening to the true being you are, the true self, awakens your true potential, perceptions, and elevates humanity's awareness to the role they play in the divine comedy. A journey from a limited ego-driven perspective to an heart-centered awareness. This will not only reshape our understanding of reality, you will create and observe what you call a new earth, a new collective consciousness, and thus experience parallel realities, where the collective thoughts, feelings, and emotions will shape the world you live in. Not from the mind, the ego, the idea it has about itself, but from the self, the source. After awakening and realizing what you're not, you will create from what you are, the one. The role of individual and collective belief systems has shaped our reality and experiences thus far. When you align with higher vibrational states, the self, frequency shifts can be slow or rapid, depending on how much the ego mind has subsided. These vibrational states lead to a more harmonious experience of existence. This alignment in frequency is not a personal endeavor. It is the collective, the one. I am all things in all places now. In this transformative collective expression of the self, the journey towards a new state of consciousness manifests and significantly alters the version of the earth from the old to the new. Our thinking, emotions, and ideas we have about ourselves, their frequency oscillates from a personal perspective to a collective one. These frequencies are potent towards aligning us with a higher dimensional earth frequency and stopping us from re-anchoring to lower frequencies. A vital component of this transformation is in becoming aware of who you truly are, the self. This brings into being the most positive frequency. By embodying the principle of higher consciousness, the self, this will influence others from negative expressions to positive impacts to all communities and the universe as a whole, demonstrating love, compassion, and unity. The reoccurrence of common themes across the world's religions, perennial wisdom, illuminates universal truths about the nature of reality, humanity, ethics, and consciousness. Just like awareness, the self, it has always been hidden in plain sight. In Christianity, the Gospel of Thomas holds direct pointers to our true nature. When the disciples asked Jesus, "When will the kingdom come?" he replied, "It will not come by waiting for it. It will not be a matter of saying, 'It is here' or 'It is there.' Rather, the kingdom is spread out upon the earth, and people do not see it." The kingdom is not here or there. Awareness is not here or there. It is not fixed in time and space. If you are seeking for something outside of you to happen, an event, like some kind of ascension, then your conditioned mind is still seeking. It is still controlling your experience. Yes, the idea you have about yourself, the ego's idea, is very strong and solidly believes we are person, mind, body. It's an aspect of the mind which forms in infancy. It's this aspect that gives us the sense of I am, though, an individual me. The ego is an illusionary entity. It's not real. It's the part of the mind that thinks it's separate. It's an imagined construct of me. However, it's not ultimately who you are. You are presence, which is always here and now. The dualistic mind is made of two fundamental aspects: the witness, and that what is witnessed. Be the witness, the observer. Ask the question, who are you? Who am I? Are you just a mind living in a body, trying to find happiness and avoiding suffering? Maybe there is something much deeper, something eternal, something that can't be explained in words, something, when realized, brings the peace and happiness that you truly are. Beyond the veil of the mind, beyond thoughts and sensations, throughout history, a question has always been asked. What is the mind? This question has been asked countless times. We think of the mind as something in our heads that does things like cognition. However, the mind is much deeper than this. The mind is duality, also known as an illusion, ego, Maya. When the sense of I is limited to something, it is an illusion, the ego or Maya. However, when it is unlimited, when it wakes up as awareness, consciousness itself, in which all experiences arise and pass, then there is no longer an identification with the separate, illusionary I. The true meaning of the word I is infinite awareness, infinite consciousness. That's the only I, or the only self there is. However, for most of us, the sense of ourself has become entangled in the content of our experiences, our images, our feelings, our thoughts, that we do not perceive ourselves as we essentially are. We know ourselves in a modified way, sort of mixed with the content of all experiences. And this mixture of the true and only infinite awareness or infinite consciousness with the content of experience makes for this illusionary self, what is referred to as the ego or the separate self. Beyond the veil of the mind is to know thyself, and that day to know thyself is now. You are an expression and an experience of what it means to be human and to be an aspect of divinity. The whole phenomena within the Divine Comedy as to what is occurring on our earth and in our reality, including its history, many of us have what we could describe as a knowing or a possible back in the mind hint that we could be of a hybrid nature. Many of us from childhood had dreams or experiences that we pushed aside. However, we are aware within these dreams and experiences there were other beings. Many of us had a transition point, a moment of realization. that it wasn't just a dream, that we were being communicated with by other entities. You would have also been aware of some psychic abilities. Then there may have been a period where you just lived your life, not really putting your attention on these experiences. At some point, a memory or experience will come, or has already happened, either about what you call abductions or telepathic communications with what you call ET or dimensional beings. You may be aware that through these experiences you received what you call downloads of complex information that can vary from physics, quantum entanglement, or to the nature of reality consciousness. Additionally, for those of you who have not heard of self-inquiry, you will find that once you become consciously aware of these experiences, you will be totally at ease with this, as these dimensional beings are fully awakened to the role they play within the divine comedy. If you have already become aware of this knowing, you may have asked these beings a question regarding creation or God. The answer may have seemed paradoxal, like, we exist because non-existence couldn't exist, because it would be the denying of existence, and only if existence exists, non-existence could exist. That's why there is existence. God is all that is, a force-like energy, and everything that exists is infinite frequencies, modulations of that same energy we call God, which is then fractalized. The purpose behind God and the universe is God fractalizes into infinite aspects of itself. God, by being everything, it is also no thing at the same time. So God wanted to become someone, something. That's why it fractalized itself to become all things at all times, all places, now. The intelligence that has been shared, what you call downloads, is all about experience for spiritual expansion, the awakening of humanity, to share with us the essence of the God frequency and why the universe exists. As on Earth, there are different types of human beings. These beings responsible for what you call downloads can be from varying types. Some of these dimensional beings have a connection to what we may call the Celtic people on Earth. Dimensional beings, or ET, nowadays is a very general term because their species is made of many different race and sub-races. So even in between them, they have different mixes of genetics. They have different histories. They have different paths of evolution. So let us briefly speak of what you call hybrids, a product of genetic engineering. This idea that some humans have been given extraterrestrial genetics, extraterrestrial meaning not of this earth or born of this earth, these beings known as the Greys are the main species behind the hybrid program. The reason why was because they were a dying race facing extinction. They claim to be us from the future. So it is said they are genetically compatible with humans. It is also said we agreed on a compassionate level to share our genetics with them. All these experiences are astral experiences or what you may call out-of-body experiences. However, do not take life so seriously. This is just one type of the multidimensional beings and one type of pathway, one storyline occurring alongside infinite alternative pathways. God, consciousness, fractalizing into infinite aspects of itself. A few dimensional beings seemingly are not supporting humanity's expansion of consciousness, causing a complexity of agendas by different dimensional beings. There is an evolutionary line where one species should not interact with the evolutionary course of one of the other species, because otherwise they would possibly hinder the ability or opportunity to grow spiritually and in consciousness. So you may ask, why do the Greys, who are, with creating genetic hybrids, seemingly breaking the universal law of non-intervention? Is it an interference? Let's look. The reason why we observe it to be like this, the ones who seemingly do not have humanity's best interests, and the ones who seemingly do have humanity's best interests, this all ties to metaphysical dynamics in terms of consciousness. There is a higher self which oscillates at a higher frequency in which we are all conscious. It is far beyond the physical mind's understanding, even the subconscious understanding of oneself. This oneself is aware of all kinds of co-creations that they are performing within this incarnation into the physical plane. This self playing its role is the one who makes soul contracts or agreements with different kinds of beings positive or negative. An analogy can be given. You have friends and family. Some you deem positive and some you deem negative. There's always a learning. There is an exchange of energy that the soul, the higher mind, the self, benefits from, because there is a learning experience that we can take as an opportunity to take the aspects of our consciousness to become integrated and heal within our DNA and become more evolved. Otherwise, there would not be any point of experiences in the physical reality. The role you play in the Divine Comedy has a major part to perform. A soul contract. A soul contract means that before or during an incarnation, an expression of one's soul into the physical matrix, there is an agreement on a higher level that there's going to be an interaction, that there's going to be an exchange of energy or information. This can be positive or what you would call negative. However, one's soul, the self, is fully aware of this role it's playing. Sometimes it's what you would call a negative interaction. It is polarized to be a negative experience or a change of information, an energy shift. Sometimes it is a positive. It is polarized for every human being this way. The value of the negative experience is an opportunity of spiritual growth and expansion. So we may ask, In the Divine Comedy, do we know the next chapter, what's going to happen, or not? The Earth has an electromagnetic field, the energetic, etheric body of its own, the consciousness matrix. This electromagnetic field contains quantum waves of probabilities. The strongest waves are the ones with the highest probability of manifestation in terms of physics into the physical matrix. And that's why people seem to read the future or to have this ability to become psychic, because they are reading the strongest waves of quantum probabilities. So nothing is fixed, it is a probability. The earth, Maya, the illusion, has its own consciousness, and it is shared with all consciousnesses, individual consciousnesses that belongs and lead into the ecosystem. The earth within these probabilities will shift into a higher density, a more evolved state of consciousness. The seemingly negative interactions taking place are actually part of this process of getting to a higher level of consciousness. Let us take a deeper dive into aspects of consciousness. Firstly, there is only consciousness, and what is called unconsciousness is disintegrated consciousness. It's what you call negativeness, conflicts, darkness. That is also consciousness, but it becomes unconscious as it is not within the balance and harmony with the self. So once the unconscious aspect of our collective, of Earth, of humanity, becomes integrated and aligned with Source, with balance, this is when we will make the quantum jump I spoke of earlier to a higher density of consciousness. So unconsciousness is part of the whole process. Duality and polarity needs to exist in order for the individual entities that we know as the universe, or consciousness itself, to exist. Dimensions is a place, a physical place, not like a location, rather a physical spectrum of place in space and time, in which the frequency and vibration is fixed to a determined frequency. It has its own frequency. What is occurring is we are transitioning towards a fourth density of consciousness. Density is about state of being. It's about the evolution, the awareness of the one consciousness. We are able to achieve this because we are multidimensional beings. Our body has many fractal facets that are vibrating at different levels and exist in different frequencies at the same time. The avatars, as you call them, the Buddhas, Jesus, and so on, who are they? They are representations of aspects or Archetypes of consciousness. An archetypal structure, a structure of meaning, an aspect of our consciousness. Let's say consciousness has its own map of different aspects of itself. An archetypal energy will represent an idea which is combined of different ideas in a fractal system. This is why we have deities in our history on communications and content experiences with them. On a higher level, the collective system of humanity chooses how, when, and where these avatars appear in different timelines. Earth is a playground in the Divine Comedy, where many of the cycles of evolution, energy, or evolution of all the races that are part of our genetic makeup is being played out at this moment. So dimensional beings, ET, has a great interest in what happens with humanity's evolution, as humans hold their DNA, genetic information. Thereby, we are already connected to their consciousness. So what happens to us influences their evolution and their consciousness. There is a constant in the universe: evolution. Once upon a time, long, long ago, there was a great civilization on Earth called humanity. This is a summary of their story. However, the ending is open. You, listening to this story, are the one who will write its ending. We all have a narrative as to who we are, our personal perspective. Every culture has a narrative as to who they are, a collective perspective. These stories shape how we think about ourselves, others, and the world. This then affects how we interact in the world. Each one of us was born and raised in our own personal story of our culture and the social determinants around us. This is all we individually have ever known and experienced, therefore we believe it, and it's our roots of who we are, and our ideas and beliefs are created around this idea we have about us and of the world. So what are these beliefs and ideas that shape our understanding of ourselves, others, and the world? It's time to see this story as just that, a story. It's time to deconstruct this story and look at it objectively. Overall, our stories live under two main influences. One, we exist as separate bodies, randomly here like a fluke of nature, of existence. Or two, we are created by a powerful deity who created us in his image, and he is the ruler of the earth. We must worship and fear this deity. These two stories have shaped the way our cultures, societies, humanity has functioned up to today. These stories that shape how we perceive and shape the world and universe around us gives us another belief that we are insignificant beings. We are born, we live, then we die. This belief and our story influences our worldview. A collective worldview then comes into play. And our survival, competition, struggles to obtain the basic life needs must be obtained at any cost, even at the expense of others. These stories have created an earth where we fight against opposing beliefs, opposing perspectives and cultures, and we annihilate and deplete the natural world in order to survive. In doing this, we have destroyed a world that naturally sustains us under the illusion that these needs and cravings and survival instincts have to happen for us to survive. Our stories have created a world in which we fight against each other and fight against the natural world under the illusion we need to survive. We have created a world, however, we have also destroyed it. To be free of this destruction, which is the current way of life now, we need to take a look at our current beliefs, ideas about not only ourselves, but what we have and what we are creating here and now on earth. Ask yourself sincerely, with an open heart, whether our beliefs are serving us. More importantly, whether or not these beliefs are actually true. When we change our belief about ourselves and the world, we can change the world we live in. We then enter a next level of consciousness. The belief that influences us the most is our belief in who we think we are, the idea we have about ourselves. We need to deeply look at how we define us, the self. As our current definition is of something that is separate from nature, and our belief about ourselves does not reflect how reality truly is. As we are not separate beings like our beliefs, ideas, and culture leads us to believe. We are all parts of the one, like pieces of a puzzle. When we put the puzzle pieces together, we realize we are the one. We are the whole of nature, which is expressed in individual parts. Yes, it can be scary to look deep within, to see how these beliefs have defined you. However, by changing these beliefs that humanity identifies with, and until we realize this fundamental truth, that our true self is the whole of nature and that all beings are a part of ourself, then we will not have peace and harmony upon the earth. So our actions on understanding oneness will benefit the whole. However, we have to first look at our beliefs, cultural narratives, and question the stories we live by, and change the worldview of separation. By doing this, we will express that ultimately all is one, all is self. The truth of oneness is known by many in the native cultures and spiritual traditions, and in 2024, many modern scientists now know consciousness does not come from matter. In fact, matter is created by consciousness. The truth is all things have always been one, interconnected whole. If we realize this truth, we can create a better world for ourselves and for future generations. We will shift to the next level of consciousness. What we have created, as previously shown, is devastation, suffering, and an ongoing pillage and destruction of Earth. So, let us now write the ending of humanity's story.